Imagine you're standing outside at night, and then you see it. A perfectly straight line of bright dots move across the sky silently, one after another. If this happened in the 1950s, someone might have called the local newspaper and said they had seen a flying saucer. If it had happened in the 1990s, they might have compared it to a scene from Independence Day. But if it happens today, the answer might be Starlink, a chain of private satellites launched by Elon Musk's SpaceX. For most of human history, survival depended on noticing things that did not belong. A movement in the grass, a sound in the dark, a light on the horizon. The unknown could be a threat, but it could also be an opportunity. So curiosity and fear learned to travel together. From Cold War files into Hollywood blockbusters, into NASA reports, and finally into the SpaceX age. UFOs are not just objects in the skies, they are mirrors, which reflect what we fear, what we want, and what we still hope might be waiting beyond the edge of human knowledge. With a sky that now has become crowded with things our grandparents could barely imagine, spy aircraft, military sensors, commercial rockets, private satellites, space debris, NASA telescopes, classified drones, and sometimes still objects that official reports cannot immediately identify. You may wonder, what kind of sky are we living under now? And if you want to understand why UFOs feel so different today, you cannot start with aliens. You have to start with the Cold War, where many UFO stories skip. The US government did not ignore the subject. It studied it for years. US Air Force UFO investigations from 1947 to 1969, including Project Blue Book and its predecessors, examined 12,618 reports. By the end of that period, 701 cases remained unidentified. That number is often repeated like it's the secret door to the truth. But the more interesting part is the conclusion. The Air Force did not say those 701 cases were alien spacecraft. It said the available reports did not show a threat to national security and did not provide evidence of vehicles beyond the scientific knowledge of the time. That distinction matters. Unidentified did not mean alien. It meant the available information was not enough to make a final call. In the 1950s and 1960s, the United States was flying aircraft that ordinary people were not supposed to know about. The U-2 spy plane could fly at altitudes far above ordinary commercial aircraft of that era. Later, programs like A-12 Oxcart pushed even further into a world of high-speed, high-altitude reconnaissance. To a pilot, an air traffic controller, or a person standing on the ground, these aircraft could look unreal. They could catch sunlight at altitudes where the ground below was already dark. They could appear brighter, higher, and stranger than expected. And because their missions were secret, the government could not always just say, "Don't worry, that was our classified spy plane." So the sky produced a perfect machine for mystery. People saw something real. Officials knew more than they could say. The public got partial explanations, or explanations that arrived years too late. However, the authenticity of many UFO stories remains uncertain. Some are accounts of real observations trapped behind military secrecy. The Cold War made the sky suspicious. Then Hollywood made it cinematic. In 1977, two films changed the way millions of people imagined what might be above them. One was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The other was Star Wars. They were both about the sky, but they did completely different things. Close Encounters took the UFO encounter and made it feel huge, mysterious, emotional, and almost sacred. It was not just monsters attacking a city. It was lights in the sky, music, government secrecy, ordinary people being pulled towards something they did not understand. A mountain, a meeting, a sense that contact might not be horror, but communication. That mattered because it gave the UFO image a new emotional grammar. A bright object in the sky was no longer only a threat, it could feel like the beginning of communication, a signal from somewhere larger than the human world. And then Star Wars did something different. It did not make UFOs feel sacred. It made outer space feel commercial, collectible, explosive, and fun. Suddenly, space was not just a dark scientific frontier. It was toys, costumes, sound effects, model ships, posters, lunchboxes, visual effects, and a whole generation of people who could name fictional spacecraft as easily as real cars. The Millennium Falcon was not just a prop, it became a cultural object. The X-Wing, the TIE Fighter, and the Death Star have gone beyond mere designs. They serve as a visual vocabulary for what space technology could look like in the human imagination. And behind that imagination was an industrial machine. George Lucas created Industrial Light and Magic in the 1970s because the movie he wanted to make needed effects that did not really exist yet. So Hollywood built the technology to make space feel real on screen. Think about how strange that is. Before most people had ever seen a reusable rocket land vertically, before private companies were docking spacecraft with the International Space Station, before satellite trains crossed the night sky, Hollywood had already trained the public to imagine fleets, cockpits, lasers, motherships, alien worlds, and massive objects moving through space. The movies did not prove aliens existed, but they trained our eyes. The categories kept multiplying. E.T. made the alien gentle, vulnerable, and almost childlike, while Alien gave audiences the opposite nightmare. Outer space as biology, infection, and industrial horror. Independence Day turned Arrival into a global disaster movie. Contact made the search for extraterrestrial intelligence feel radio astronomy, math, politics, religion, and engineering. And Arrival reframed First Contact as a language problem. How do you communicate with a mind that does not experience reality the way you do? These movies matter because they created categories in our heads. When people see a strange object in the sky, they do not see it with neutral eyes. They see it through decades of images. They see Star Wars, E.T., Alien. UFOs are never just objects because of that. They are objects entering a culture that already has a script for them. But the modern UAP story did not return to the mainstream because of a movie. It returned because of videos. In April 2020, the US Department of Defense officially released 3 Navy videos that had already become famous online called Fleur, Gimbal, and Go Fast. The clips were grainy, short, and strained. You could hear pilots reacting to what they were seeing on their displays, see tracking systems locking onto objects that were not immediately obvious to the viewer. But the most important thing about those videos was not what they proved, it was what they did not prove. The Pentagon did not say, "These are alien spacecraft." It said the aerial phenomena in these videos remained unidentified. That one word moved the conversation. Pilots, intelligence offices, lawmakers, journalists, and scientists could now discuss the subject in the language of sensors, reporting systems, and UAP files rather than the older cultural baggage of UFOs and flying saucers. But the shift did not happen by itself. There were people pushing the subject from different directions. In 2007, Harry Reid, the powerful senator from Nevada, played a major role in getting government attention and funding directed toward anomalous aerospace threats and related research programs. His role was not that he proved aliens were visiting Earth. His role was that he helped make the subject institutionally possible inside the defense world. This marked a pivotal shift, transforming UFOs from a sci-fi trope into a serious government project. In government, a topic becomes real when it gets budget lines, offices, reports, review processes, and people whose job it is to take it seriously. Luis Elizondo became one of the public faces of the issue after leaving government service. He helped bring the UAP conversation from inside defense circles into public media, congressional attention, and mainstream discussion. A subject can exist for years inside institutions and still remain invisible to the public until someone becomes a translator between the classified world and the outside world. And here we are talking about Tom DeLonge. From Blink-182, a legend rock and roll Californian band, DeLonge founded To the Stars Academy and connected entertainment culture, former government and intelligence figures, media attention, and UAP advocacy. Whether someone agrees with all his ideas is not the point. The concrete point is that he helped build a bridge between pop culture and former officials at a moment when the subject was ready to break into the mainstream. This is what makes the modern UAP story feel so unusual. It reached the mainstream through several channels at once. Reid gave the issue institutional weight in Washington. Elizondo helped turn an internal defense controversy into a public debate, and DeLonge packaged the subject for mass attention by linking entertainment culture with former officials. Journalists and documentary makers carried it further. Congress held hearings, and AARO, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, became a part of the government's formal machinery for handling these questions. And slowly, UFO stopped sounding like a punchline and started sounding like a file category. You are no longer only asking, do you believe? You are asking, who has the records? What sensors collected the data? Whether radar, infrared, pilot reports, or multiple witnesses support the case, whether the system is classified, whether the record can be declassified, and whether the data is strong enough to identify the object. That brings us to PURSUE, Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP encounters. This is where the story becomes very different from the old flying saucer era. The government is not just denying or confirming rumors, it is organizing records. PURSUE describes an effort to find, review, identify, declassify, and release unresolved UAP records held by the federal government. That sentence may not sound as exciting as aliens landed, but if you understand how governments work, it is huge because it means UAPs are being treated as a national security and aviation safety issue that requires cross-agency coordination while balancing classified information with public demands for transparency. This is no longer just one blurry photo or one dramatic witness. Now it works like a system. And the key word is unresolved. Unresolved means the government does not have enough data to make a definitive determination about the nature of the observation. Often the problem is brutally practical. The image is blurred, the angle is missing, one sensor caught only part of the event. The pilot report lacks context. The system is classified. The chain of custody is weak, or the file sits in one agency while the matching record sits somewhere else. The database era of UFOs is more interesting than the rumor era for exactly this reason. Now, the story shifts into questions about ownership, release authority, standards of evidence, and the collision between national security and public curiosity. This is the part of the UFO story that is easy to miss if you only ask, is it aliens? The better question is, what would a society actually need in order to understand its own sky? This is exactly where NASA enters the story. NASA's UAP work is more grounded than the old alien question. It focuses on better data, calibrated sensors, systematic reporting, transparent scientific methods, and reducing the stigma that can keep pilots or observers from reporting unusual events. Far away from only caring about, is it aliens? NASA is part of a much bigger question. Can life exist elsewhere at all? To explore this question further, humanity equips itself with telescopes, exoplanet archives, Mars missions, studies of icy moons, atmospheric chemistry, and decades of planetary science. The modern search for life beyond Earth does not depend on someone pointing a camera at a light in the sky. It depends on a slower chain of work, finding planets around other stars, studying their atmosphere, and understanding how water, chemistry, energy, and planetary environments might make life possible. Thousands of confirmed planets outside of our solar system are now part of the scientific record. Those planets range from gas giants to rocky worlds, from worlds orbiting too close to their stars to others in zones where liquid water could be possible under the right conditions. That does not mean life has been found. AI is great, but don't you miss that real human connection when you're trying to learn something new? That's why you need Amazing Talker. It's a one-on-one online tutoring platform where you can learn anything, whether it's English, a new language, music, or history. We have it all. Our tutors are from all around the world, and many of them speak your native language too. More than 4 million students have joined us already. If you want a warmer, more authentic way to learn, just click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Register now and get $10 off your first lesson. While we have not confirmed whether ETs exist, we now know for a fact that other worlds are out there, and you may still be deeply curious about whether there is anyone else out there looking back. Sitting beside you, however, is one person who said that he is an alien, Elon Musk. He runs the most science fiction looking figures in modern business, a rocket company. He talks about Mars. His company uses names that sound like they came out of a space opera. SpaceX Falcon rockets even carry an echo of the Millennium Falcon. And yet, when asked about aliens, Musk has repeatedly said he has not seen convincing evidence. He proves that humans are now capable of making the sky look alien without aliens. Today, SpaceX looks inevitable. Reusable rockets land on drone ships. Crew Dragon docks with the International Space Station. Starlink satellites move across the sky in long chains. Launches happen so often that many people barely notice them anymore. At the same time, NASA was also changing. Instead of building and operating every piece of the transportation system itself, NASA began using commercial partnerships to buy cargo and crew transportation services from private companies. That shift sounds bureaucratic, but it transformed the space industry. It meant companies like SpaceX were not just performing stunts, they were becoming transportation providers. They were building supply chains, contracts, launch schedules, manufacturing systems, safety reviews, mission operations, and vehicles that had to work again and again. Falcon 9 made reusability the center of the story. For most of the space age, rockets were used once and thrown away. That is a strange way to run transportation. Imagine if every airplane flight ended with the airplane falling into the ocean. SpaceX's bet was that lowering the cost of access to space required recovering and reusing major parts of the rocket, from Falcon 9 to Dragon. With higher launch frequency and a reusable rocket cost structure, SpaceX helped push commercial space beyond cargo and satellites to include regular human spaceflight. In 2020, Crew Dragon carried NASA astronauts to the International Space Station, restoring the ability to launch NASA crews from American soil on an American vehicle after the space shuttle era had ended in 2011. This has ushered in a new era for the UFO story, demonstrating that the sky above us is no longer solely a government frontier. It has become a market. And then Starlink made that market visible to ordinary people. Most satellite systems are invisible to most of us. They are just signals, maps, weather data, internet connections, navigation, military infrastructure. But Starlink changed public perception because people could actually see it. A train of bright dots crossing the sky is the kind of thing that would have caused panic, rumors, and UFO reports in another era. Today, it can be a private internet satellite constellation. That becomes the perfect modern twist. The sky has become a contested space between governments, private companies, scientists, militaries, astronomers, pilots, and the public. Astronomers worry about bright satellite trails interfering with observations. Regulators worry about orbital congestion and debris. Military planners worry about surveillance, security, and unknown objects. Commercial companies see opportunity. Scientists see data. The public sees lights. And Hollywood has already taught everyone what those lights might mean. Here is the real story. UFOs did not disappear when technology improved. They changed shape. Over time, the list of physical explanation has expanded. Cold War spy planes, satellites, drones, classified systems, commercial spacecraft, and orbital debris. At the same time, cameras, sensors, social media, and decades of pop culture imagery shape how those events are recorded, interpreted, and argued over. The modern UFO story needs a different kind of seriousness because of that. Not the seriousness of pretending every mystery is an alien aircraft. The old UFO question was simple. Are they alien? The modern question is harder because it asks what is actually moving above us? Who put it there? Who is tracking it? Who controls the data? Who is allowed to see the evidence? And where the line falls between explanation, classification, and missing records because the sky above us is no longer empty.